A big wall. We're gonna be here for a couple of minutes, so if you want to take a seat on the sidewalk, that's okay too. Now, this whole wall was painted by the Bogota Street Art Collective. It's 4 different artists. 3 of them are stencil artists. Stencil is one of the most popular techniques among street artists. Basically because you can prepare in advance, you can create a stencil back at your home, back at your workshop, and then in just a matter of minutes, go outside to the streets and leave your images. Now, if you guys don't know what a stencil is, it's basically when you take a big piece of cardboard and you cut out the designs from the cardboard, they paste the cardboard into the wall and spray paint on top of it. These boxes that you see right here, those are created with that technique. So basically you cut out the box of the cardboard and you paste the cardboard into the wall and spray paint on top of it, okay? Only one guy of all the 4 works with a different technique. That guy is Guache. The guy right over here works with a more freestyle aerosol paint technique. Now, Guache, that's an indigenous word. Guache means warrior or protector. But when the Europeans first arrived to this part of the world, they started to become aware that the most important people around the villages, they were called Guaches. So in order to create a bad reputation for these warriors, they changed the meaning of the word. Nowadays, what my mother tells me, hey Carlos, don't be Guache, don't act Guache. What she's actually telling me, hey Carlos, don't be stupid, don't act brutish. Since the Europeans did such a great job changing the original meaning of the word, what Guache is trying to do is trying to bring back the original meaning. So most of his artwork is about indigenous people, their traditions, our ancestors, their wisdom. He is inviting us all to try to construct our identity as a country by taking a good look back at our roots, not trying to follow role models from North America or Europe. Now, specifically, this wall right here, we have 2 different characters. On the top, we have a guy who's wearing a blazer, a suit, shiny shoes and everything. That's the capitalist guy. He's sitting on the back of this other character, the indigenous guy. The meaning is pretty clear behind it. It's basically the rich guy oppressing the poor. The capitalist guy oppressing the indigenous one. Now, the indigenous guy is being oppressed and he's also dragging behind him all the burdens of modern society. He's dragging a dead donkey for animal abuse. He's dragging a cross, a TV, and an automobile. There is just one thing that keeps this guy going. That's nature. That's why he is embracing nature at all times. He will never let go of those birds. This piece of artwork, Guache is also protesting against irresponsible tourism. This is an ongoing practice here in Colombia. There are places that are so high up in the mountains that the only way to bring down the elderly or the sick is by carrying them on your back in this same fashion. But there are some tourists with some expendable cash. When they are in these places of the country, they demand to be carried in this way, hiring the locals as human ambulances, as human taxis. That's what Guache is protesting against. Now, second artist, right here, he goes by the name of DJ Lou. DJ Lou, he was basically a DJ when he was in college, and the nickname stuck after that. Now, this guy DJ Lou, he is known by some people as the Colombian Banksy. There are 2 reasons for that. The first one, They both use the same technique. That technique is the stencil. It's very, very popular, especially if you don't want to get in trouble with the police authority. The second reason for this guy to be known as the Colombian Banksy, well, nobody knows who DJ Lou is. He likes to remain anonymous at all times. He doesn't like to show his face. I was in a conference by DJ Lou around 5 months ago. Throughout the whole conference, the guy was wearing a Mexican wrestling mask. He says that the artwork should be all about the message and not about who painted it, not about who created it. He also is an architect and a college professor. Probably that's another reason why he doesn't like to show his face. Most likely, he likes to keep those two worlds very separate from one another. Now, this guy, DJ Lou, he is very passionate about two subjects. The first one is war, violence. And the second one, people who either work or live on the streets. And that's exactly what we have right here. If you take a look to the top of the wall, you will see the war bugs, insects with weaponized wings. He is basically comparing war with insects because they are both very annoying, they both cause a lot of pain, and they both spread like a disease, and they also spread a lot of diseases. That's why he is making that comparison. If you keep going down, you'll see that he's trying to show you the other side of war. That war isn't just about poor people killing poor people. It's also a very lucrative business. There's a lot of people going to fancy parties, having a great time with all the money that they make from the war business. DJ Lou also painted for us that pineapple grenade right over there. One of his most iconic, most popular images. That image got picked by an American shoe company called Bucket Feet. They basically go all around the world searching for talent, for images from street artists in order to transform those images into shoes. Right now, DJ Lou's pineapple grenades, it's one of their highest grossing pairs internationally, making DJ Lou very happy about it because he gets royalties for every pair sold. With that image right there, he is also comparing pineapples with grenades. Basically because the pineapple, it's a very aggressive fruit with the soil, with the environment. There are some countries, especially around the Caribbean, they are cutting down trees in order to plant pineapple because it's more profitable. The thing is that once you're done with the pineapple, you basically can't plant anything else. It does a lot of harm to the soil. It does a lot of damage to the environment. That's why he is making that comparison. Now, the characters at the bottom of the wall, those are all homeless people. And as you can see, there's a lot of violent related imagery going on around them. That's because while living on the streets, they have to go through a lot of violence. Just to give you an idea of how violent the streets can get here in the country, take a look at the character right over there. The Afro-Colombian with the dreadlocks. He was known as Calidoso. Calidoso, he used to hang around one of the most popular universities here in the city. The students called him Calidoso, which means the cool guy, because he was really cool towards them. One day, Calidoso, he got robbed, he got beaten up, and he was burned alive. And that, guys, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Before I tell you the rest of the story, I'm gonna have to talk to you about two different subjects. The first one, it's called Plan Colombia. And the second one, it's called false positive scandals. Now, Plan Colombia was an initiative of the Clinton administration in 1999. It got implemented by the Bush government in 2001. Basically, the US, they gave us more than $8 billion for us to fight the war against drugs, fight the war against terror. 80% of that money was supposed to buy for buying weapons, vehicles, bombs, training for the army. 80% of that money went straight back to the pockets of the US because they were the ones who sold us all those war supplies, all those goods. Only 20% of the money actually came inside the country. That money was supposed to be for social investment. The government, they said like, hey, wait a minute right there. Why don't we take that money in order to give rewards to the army soldiers for killing guerrilla rebels? So for over a period of a decade, for more than 10 years, everybody in the army was just happy. Soldiers were getting paid for killing people, high-ranking officers were getting promoted. The problem is, when these guys weren't able to find any guerrilla rebels to kill and collect the money rewards, what they will do, well, they will basically jump on their army trucks, drive around the cities, drive around the small towns, picking up homeless people, poor people, dressing them as guerrilla rebels, taking them outside the cities, and executing them for the money reward. That's basically what a false positive means. A guerrilla rebel, a civilian, being killed for a money reward and also being portrayed as a guerrilla rebel. That happened for over a decade. There's an unofficial number of more than 10,000 people gone missing during that time. And actually, the UN, they published a paper a month ago where they said that 1 of every 3 casualties of war during the years of 2005 to 2008, 1 of every 3 deaths wasn't actually a guerrilla rebel, but a false positive, a civilian being portrayed as a guerrilla rebel. 33% of the casualties. That only stopped from happening 4 years ago, 2012. And they stopped not because we as a country became aware of the situation. They stopped because they actually ran out of money. They ran out of funding. And also, the main goals for the Plan Colombia were never met. Those goals were to decrease the production of cocaine here so the price will rise in the US. But none of that happened. Now guys, last thing that DJ Lou painted for us, this skeleton right here. The phrase that you read on the side, it says, peca y reza. Sin and pray. He's talking about some religious people with double standards that tell you that you can behave as bad as you want. You can do all the horrible things that you want. As long as you keep on praying, then you're all covered. Okay, guys? Now, let's move to check the last half of the wall. Now guys, behind me we have the work of Toxicomano Callejero. Toxicomano means something like toxic human or drug addict. They actually got their name out from a soap opera. They were going through the channels one day. They saw this really old lady looking through the window on the TV. And she was saying, oh, take a look at all those toxicomanos ruining the park for us. They saw in that old lady everything that they didn't want to represent. Upper class, rich people, exclusion. They felt more identified with the toxicomanos ruining the park for everyone. So they started as a punk band, they evolved to a graphic design collective, and nowadays it's just one guy painting under the name of Toxicomano. That guy, he's a professional publicist, and he likes to make fun of that. So he takes a lot of imagery from the 1960s, 1950s advertisement era in order to create these ironic situations. Unfortunately, this is not the best example of Toxicomano's political artwork. So what we have right here is basically this hipster-looking lady with her vintage camera trying to take a photograph of Eddie the Punk as he was some kind of celebrity. Now, this guy, Eddie the Punk, he is really famous around Colombia. Most of the people think that he is Toxicomano. But he's not, he's just one of his friends. But this guy is so popular basically because that face, it's all around the country. It's everywhere. And it's everywhere thanks to the technique that Toxicomano uses in order to paint on the streets. That's another stencil. And as soon as you create a stencil as big as this one to paint this face, you can use the same stencil, the same materials, as much as sometimes, I don't know, 10 times before the actual materials wears off. So it's really easy to replicate your images with this technique. Now, for the last part of the wall, if you want to get a little bit closer, there's some rooms right over here.